Minutes, please, Mr Kerr.
Deputy Presiding Officer, here's something I never thought I'd have to say in the Scottish Parliament. But contrary to the Scottish Parliament's Twitter account, I can confirm I am not a potato. Those of you who are not on Twitter or haven't seen it, it's really funny. The motion before us today speaks to our history, a history that has always been at the forefront of innovation and development. It speaks to the Scotland of today, one where our citizens are well positioned to take full advantage of the latest scientific developments in this time of extraordinary and ever-quickening change. This motion speaks to the Scotland of tomorrow, where we are at the cutting edge of technological revolution that we can scarcely begin to imagine to ourselves today. From James Watt's improvements to the steam engine to the construction of the Falkirk wheel, Scotland is at its best when its people are being their best creative, innovative and entrepreneurial selves. Scotland is at its best when we embrace the modern world, when we're playing our full part in the design of the modern world. And it is in this spirit, Deputy Presiding Officer, that I address the motion before us today. I believe strongly that Scotland should be at the forefront of gene editing technology. We have one of the best educated populations in the world. We have the soils and environments suitable for growing healthy and fertile crops. We have a farming sector that embraces change and technology and wants to embrace change and technology. We are free to pursue our own destiny without the burden of EU regulation. Scotland can be at the forefront of this new technology. Scotland must be at the forefront of this new technology.
Jim Fairley.
Thank you, Member, for taking an intervention. I'd just like to ask, being free of the burden of the EU, as you talk about, does that mean that you're giving up on selling seed potatoes to Europe?
Stephen Kerr.
Well, we are talking about tatties, but not the sort that Jim Fairley wants me to talk about right now. We're talking about the technology that Scotland wants to and should be embracing. Because, Jim Fairley, the climate is changing, and at the same time, the world is becoming a less secure and more dangerous place. With Putin's aggression in Ukraine and climate-induced crop failures around the world, security of food production must be further up our agenda. We must be able to produce enough food to feed our people and feed people beyond our shores. And continuous temperature changes will inevitably change the way that we farm. And we are lucky to have had relatively minor crop failures this year. But we do not fully understand the impact that continuous temperature rises will have on Scottish agriculture and food production. We must be prepared. And the best way to prepare is to embrace science. This is nothing new. We all know the stories of how selective breeding changed the way that food is produced, to make crops more palatable, easier to grow in less fertile soils, or to deal with changes in temperature or rainfall. Look at how our farmers use science and data to ensure productive output of lamb. And this is another area that we need to adopt. There is a scientific consensus that gene editing is safe and practical. 107 Nobel laureates pleaded for the introduction of golden rice in 2016. And in India and Australia, the development of heat and drought-resistant crops is at the forefront of farming development. Scotland should be harnessing this expertise, and we should be setting an example to other parts of the world. And as the title of the motion outlines, we can not only make our food more resilient or grow in less ideal conditions, but we can make it better for us. More nutritionist food is better food. And the developments at the famed James Hutton Institute in Dundee have done significant work in this regard. They predict that gene editing technology will result in potatoes with more vitamin C than lemons being grown. There's the title of the debate for you. Combining secure food production with more nutritious food will result in a healthier population and food security in a world with increasingly unstable food production.
Emma Harper.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking an intervention. I'm just wondering if the member recommends how we capture the vitamin C from the vitamin C-enriched potatoes, because vitamin C is destroyed by heat, it's destroyed by light, it dissolves in water. So I'm wondering if how do we capture the vitamin C? Do we need to drink a whole tatty pot of water?
Stephen Kerr.
Emma Harper. I invite Emma Harper to join me on my forthcoming visit to the James Hutton Institute, and we can ask these questions to the people that know the answers. But combining secure food production with more nutritious food will result in a healthier population and food security in the world with increasingly unstable food production. This is an economic imperative as well as a security imperative. The opportunity for Scottish business to be at the forefront of these developments is huge. A monopoly exists in the world where gene-edited crops are limited to a small number of large global companies, and we can change that by creating the conditions for new, innovative, disruptor companies to develop, test and deploy these new products in this sphere. If crops fail or other countries embrace this technology before us, we risk losing a great deal, not only financially, but in terms of our self-reliance as a nation. And we can secure Scotland's food and drink industry into the future. This is a debate that has often attracted a great deal of scaremongering, cries of Frankenstein foods or political opportunist spreading of false information. All of this is unhelpful. Now, there are legitimate concerns, however, and I will just take a little time, such as I have left, to address these. Firstly, there is the issue of cross-contamination. This is not a problem unique to gene-edited crops. It is a problem throughout agriculture. It is why there will need to be a robust and rigorous set of tests before approval is given to any new crops. The evidence from the scientific community is clear that high standards of testing will make gene editing safe. Another concern is cost to farmers. Monopolistic practices that I have already outlined need to be challenged by government. Having 4 companies own 70% of all the gene-edited seeds allows these companies to set their prices high. So we need competition, we need innovation, as well as better regulation. The third concern that we should address is just how expensive research is in this area. This is a new industry, and as such, the development costs of the new products will be high. They will become cheaper as research continues. We always build on that which has come before. More research means cheaper research. And there is a spin-off as lessons learned in the agricultural gene editing will likely advance into other areas, like medicine, such as the CAR-T or CAR-T therapy, which is currently being developed for use in treating some forms of cancer. These concerns are legitimate, but my biggest concern, Deputy Presiding Officer, would be if we fail to grasp this great opportunity for Scotland. At a time when we have seen what can be achieved with enough effort through the development of the COVID vaccines, is it not time for us to put our faith in scientific progress? At a time when we accept the scientific consensus on man-made climate change, is it not time to embrace the consensus around gene editing? And I conclude, Scotland's people are innovative. We embrace, we accept change. We are cautious when we need to be cautious, but we are brave when we need to be brave. As policymakers, this Parliament must send the signal that we are ready to be bold and seize the opportunities of being a world leader on this issue. And Scots have always been at the forefront of every global technological revolution, and we should let our people be free to be at the forefront of this technological revolution. So let's be ambitious, build on our tradition, make Scotland's name heard globally in the field of ethical and pragmatic gene editing. I move the motion in my name.
Thank you, Mr Kerr. I now call